Here's the real reason high achievers feel empty and why you can't achieve your way out of this emptiness. I've built a 15K plus coaching business. I've had an MVP season in football, outstanding player, another season, very close to having a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Plenty of achievement, list goes on. The pattern most high achievers know goes something like you have a goal and you put in massive work, you get to that goal, and then you just move the goal further out. And that cycle repeats. Now, there's nothing wrong with aiming at a target and putting in work to get somewhere. The problem is that if you are only getting your worth from moving that target and getting that goal, you are stuck in a continuous cycle of depending on your external achievement. The biggest trap that high achievers will tell themselves is once I get X, then I'll feel good. Then I'll get Y. And the trouble is you're always postponing your joy and happiness until you get something. Now, when I use the words joy and happiness, we mustn't confuse those states with the illusion of pleasure. I'm talking about genuine alignment. That is something that comes through the right form of achievement, where you achieve not solely in a shallow sense, but you are doing the work that you are doing and hitting the goals that you're hitting for something much deeper and bigger than just once you get that thing. Because here's the problem. One end of society tells you achieve and then you'll be good. And the other end tells you, well, you don't have to achieve and then you'll be good. What I'm saying is you need to achieve, you need to work hard, but you need to make sure the things that you're doing are aligned with you. So you need to mix the stillness with the logical precision that allows for a vision from the heart and intuition be brought forth into material existence. You need both logic and intuition for that to actually happen in harmony. In this point, it's so big. Most high achievers achieve to run from something. And more often than not, what we're running from tends to be this sitting with ourselves. We run, we are busy, we move, we do things because it's hard to be present and actually be still and feel what it is that you're aware of. You know, a lot of people think that their thoughts are who they are. And while that is partially true, then I would ask them, who is the one observing the thinking? Because you have the awareness that you are thinking. So are you the one who thinks, or are you the one who can see that you're thinking? Now, the answer is that you're both. Your thinking is your logical, and your awareness of thinking is your intuition. Too much of either, and you skew the harvest. So we need to align ourselves and realize the thing we're running from is needing attention. We don't always need to be achieving, planning, using analysis to decipher details of the economy, market, business, etc. Insert your field. What we need to do is learn how to sit still, stretch, meditate, go on walks, while also balancing the ambitious side of the builder. So this is an intricate game where you don't achieve for external validation anymore. You don't achieve just to feel better or from a fear of being average. You achieve, you build from a aligned place in your heart, in your being, and you're actually building from an essence of abundance. You know that you can create something beautiful. That's what you're building, not building to insert shallow accomplishment. And here's a little process that I want to explain. You'll get a dopamine hit from achievement, but the achievement doesn't address the emptiness or unworthiness beneath the dopamine hit. So then, time passes, the feeling fades. And now you're back to the same internal state that you were before the achievement. Now you need a bigger goal to get the dopamine hit, and it's a addiction cycle. Now, it could be a much worse addiction cycle where you could be cycling in that manner, but your dopamine hit isn't even attached to a real goal. It could just be scrolling on social media. Dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. That's free dopamine. That's cheap dopamine. That'll absolutely destroy and fry your nervous system. That being said, don't have fear around your nervous system uh, going through that, because sometimes that is necessary for your spirit to then adapt, because it actually feels the tension and turmoil within your nervous system. So that's part of, sometimes you have to burn by the flame. Sometimes you have to be purified via the heat. And it's not always pleasurable, but it can be necessary. And then you start to realize, man, I cannot be using my attention awareness energy in this way any longer. It doesn't suit me. It doesn't compound healthily. And it's just a negative, harmful spiral downward. And then one last piece is getting too attached to your achievement, where you do some good things and the ego, your identity, starts getting on the high horse, right? I'm great, I'm successful, I'm this. Very attached to the material world. Partially, your achievements are a representation of character, and you should understand that you did go and earn things. But you must also be filled with a humility which allows for your learnings and insights throughout your journey to be distilled to others. And that requires kind of meeting them where they're at sometimes. Other moments you'll have to be very stern and actually kind of share an energy of just do it. Sometimes that's necessary in life as well. You let your heart show you how to communicate in this process. But I don't know anything more meaningful than going from 0 to 100 yourself and then helping others go from 0 to 5 to 10 to 15, right? I don't know anything more meaningful in life than that. So a large story related to this bigger topic of achievement is, there came a point in my life where I was just led to kind of create space, meaning I picked up meditation. I had a little bit more time for myself. I wasn't distracting myself with all of the things that I used to do. Sometimes you'll not have too many friends, or you'll just have time to yourself. Maybe it's a very intense phase and you are just working 50-hour weeks, and your off time is just the simple recovery of eating, sleeping, stretching, meditating. The real point is that we have to create the space to face the emptiness. There's no other way to sort of alchemize your cells and let your unconscious start becoming in conscious awareness. The only way you can really do this is creating the space for your psyche to discern and learn via observing the conscious mind. So, in other words, in simpler words, we're talking about not always being on your phone, not always working, having time where you straight up are walking through a forest without any stimulation besides the noise of the wind, the crunch of the leaves, and simple, very organic sounds. Or you're doing that in another form. It could be indoors and you're just sitting still and you're stretching without music. You could also venture and have instrumentals, sounds without words. That is somewhat acceptable. I'm not here to tell you what is right, what is wrong. I'm here to just share the nature of what is necessary to create space. Another action that is extremely helpful is pen and paper. If you go pen and paper, you're going to notice the correlation between writing and anxiety. When you write, your anxiety dissipates because it's a direct energetic usage of what's moving inside your head, and you're putting it into structure by using logic to formulate your unconscious or conscious movements through the English or any specific language. Everything that happens from the moment you have a thought to moving your hand to picking up the pen with your thumbs to actually formulating the language into written prose, that entire process is requiring so many cellular communications within your entire being that it strengthens your clarity, directly clears you. You're focusing your energy on a single point. You're connecting the intuition, the logic, and the physical body through the act of writing. If you take that specific depiction of how I see that entire process right there, you can start to apply that to all different forms of movement. And this is what life is actually about. This is what facing the emptiness is about, where you take that awareness and go so deep. Maybe I'm using a lot of words to describe something very simple. I could say you pick up the pen and you start writing, but that would be a oversimplification in terms of what is actually happening within your consciousness. So that's what I enjoy speaking about, because your consciousness is the underlying foundation of all of your life. And when you get a newer, sharper, better relationship with your own consciousness, you start to see that emptiness is a beautiful thing. You face your emptiness, you realize emptiness, there's nothing to be scared of. And you see that God, whatever you want to call it, God, Christ, Buddha, Islam, Allah, so on and so forth, that form of intelligence is supporting you. It runs through you. You are a conductor of consciousness. You are a creator. And you have the power to tap in and kind of realize, oh, wait, I could be moving on autopilot very loosely in terms of oversimplifying your life and what it is to be alive. Or you can actually tap in and live moment to moment in the nittiest of details. And you start to appreciate everything so much more when you do this work to notice the beauty of the things you used to overlook. And that really does all begin with taking the time to create the space within your being, and that calls for facing your emptiness, being with your emptiness. And, simply, I probably would recommend picking up just a meditation habit. Nothing fancy. You don't have to do any crazy breath work. Just fucking sit there. Sit there and look at the wall or close your eyes and breathe. It's that simple, honestly. And you'll notice you think, then you could write your thoughts down to a certain point, and then you can also just let go of thoughts and just keep breathing. You're going to sit there, you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I'm thinking so much. Good idea, blah, 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 bad, whatever. Just keep breathing. And it's going to be hard. Sometimes you're going to have to move your belly a bit. You'll feel charged, but I just wanted to lay that out. I've built a 15K plus coaching business. I've had an MVP season in football, outstanding player, very close to having a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So plenty of achievement. Maybe they're not the biggest numbers, but it's all about not running anymore and beginning to let your heart show you why and what it is that you're meant to achieve. So you're not achieving things out of weakness or fear or pressure, but it's a internal knowing and trust and faith that this is who you are and this is what you're meant to build. And there's no other way it's going to happen besides you trusting your heart and having confidence in yourself and realizing your thoughts do create reality, because there's feedback loops, actions, thoughts, they feed back into each other. We just have to make sure that we're building from a place which is right and true. And it's not a illusion of, oh, I'm building because once I get this, then I'll get this, and then I'll be happy. You have to learn to appreciate the journey. Be happy as you're achieving your dreams. You don't wait until your dreams come into your life to then be happy. You have to carry this energy of abundance and gratitude all throughout.